If you're looking for some truly special art on Etsy, you need to check out The Nightjar online at thenightjar.etsy.com. The Nightjar shop features affordable, high-quality artwork, including paintings, prints, needle-felted sculptures, and jewelry. Based in California, artist Tara Lyons makes original art that's unique and personal. Check out her glitter glass tree ornaments and her needle felt creations. She has beautiful one-of-a-kind paintings, cards, and a lot more. Tara's art is sweet, thoughtful, and collectible. Everything is delivered right to your door and packed with care. Looking for a great gift? Check out The Nightjar on Etsy. It's a shop you will want to visit again and again. thenightjar.etsy.com. Share the link on all of your social media. thenightjar.etsy.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We are under verdict watch in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And I'll tell you, an interesting thing going on in this Rittenhouse case today under jury watch. There is very little news about it. If you turn on the cable news, they have a little screen at the bottom right of the screen, and it's just a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse looking off to the sides like day one, jury deliberations. And I got a notification on YouTube from Right Side Broadcasting. Right Side Broadcasting is at the courthouse, outside in front of the courthouse doing verdict watch. And outside the courthouse are a bunch of lunatics that doing all kinds of things. And I don't know, just a bunch of Yahoo kind of things going on. I don't mean Yahoos.
People that should be working.
What I mean by Yahoos, I mean like crazy people.
Right.
Yeah. People
that should have jobs.
Well, their job is being professional activists, I guess. And I thought that was very clever of Right Side Broadcasting, very clever of them because, you know, Right Side Broadcasting, I have friends that are with Right Side Broadcasting. Mike Nificent, we've had on the program. He's been on the radio with me.
Yeah, he's great.
Very good. You should follow him he has his own YouTube channel, Mike Nificent. And he's very good. And everyone I have met, and I've met most of the people from Right Side Broadcasting, they are very cool and very
I think they've gone
nice
the right way with that because they're treating it like a news network. And they're going to places like you don't see a lot of that stuff on the regular news. They don't really use field reporters anymore. And they don't do a lot of, let's go to so-and-so in the field. So I think they're really smart to go to these events and these protests or these things and to have a live stream so people can see what's happening in real time.
Yeah, and if you don't know Right Side Broadcasting, look them up on YouTube. They're very good. And in the old days, the Menendez trial, OJ trial, the CNN and the other networks would be out front, and they're not doing it. And a lot of people think it's true. It's budgetary, and that's not really true, I don't think, because what they typically do, Fox, for example, there are Fox News affiliates in every major market, right? We have 2 Fox stations here in South Florida, one in Miami, one in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And if there's a big case going on here, like at the Parkland shooting, who's the guy from Fox News that's always here in South Florida?
Kerry Sanders?
No, that's NBC. The guy from Fox News, he's got the nice hair. Cool hair.
Phil Keating.
Phil Keating. Okay, now you guys all know Phil.
He always looks like he just came out of the swimming pool.
Yeah, he's got cool hair. He's looks like a typical Florida super cool guy.
He looks very Floridian for sure.
And Phil Keating, you guys see him on Fox all the time covering national stories for Fox. He also does local reporting on the local Fox affiliate in Miami, WSVN Channel 7.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And when I saw him on more than one occasion at the Parkland School, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, after the tragedy there, he was there with the WSVN local Fox News affiliate van. So they could, and CNN is affiliated with many, many local news networks. So MSNBC has NBC New affiliates in every town. So they could have local reporters there covering it, like they did when the building collapsed in Miami. Was one of the rare instances where the national news had people on the scene covering events like that, as opposed to just talking about them in a studio. So I think the corporate media, which I notice people are starting to call the mainstream media the corporate media more than the mainstream media. If you've noticed that little change,
I think that's a better name. And I
corporate
think,
media. Well, the corporate media. So the corporate media.
It's more descriptive.
Yeah, they are not out front of the Rittenhouse courthouse. I didn't even realize I had house in both of them. In the Rittenhouse courthouse. The corporate mainstream media are not there because of budgetary reasons. There's local affiliates that could cover it. I think they are not there because this trial is expected to not have the conclusion that the corporate mainstream media want, and they're trying to distance themselves for it and make a big deal out of the Aubrey verdict, whatever that is.
Well, I think that they're missing the boat on this. I think that if they had a truck there or a local affiliate there and they were reporting in real time and had a reporter there going around interviewing people and filming people there and getting their reactions, that's what they used to do on the news.
That's what right side broadcasting is.
And they don't. Instead, they're in the studio all day talking about how anybody who criticizes Kamala is racist now or a misogynist.
Yeah. So we're on verdict watch, and when that verdict comes down, it's hard to believe that Kyle Rittenhouse, just because the way, let me pull up this story. This really burns me, and I've heard this in other places, but I'm going to share this headline from the Daily Mail. Let me see here. Let me find if I can find this headline. I was just watching this story. Okay, listen. This is the headline in the Daily Mail. Rittenhouse jury of 5 men and 7 women, 11 of whom are white, begin deliberations. Okay, what's the relevance of that? The liberals in this country and the media have all of a sudden openly said and decided that only African Americans can render fair and just verdicts in criminal trials.
Well, there's a whole movement to
that white people can't render a fair verdict on a trial.
There's a whole movement to render all white people racist, bigots. That we, like you said, that we can't be fair or just or unbiased. There's a whole movement with that.
Yeah, and they are like a step away. And if things continue the way they are, they're a step away from this. They're about at the point where mainstream Democrats will start saying that white people should be forbidden from serving on juries.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody says that very soon.
And, listen, Kathy and I know we say this a lot, but I think it's important for people that are new. We have an interracial family, okay? And so Kathy and I have a vested interest in the future of race relations. All of our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will all be children of color. We will not have white grandchildren or grandchildren unless our daughter adopts white children. Who knows? And so our entire family line is going to be minority. And so we have a vested interest in the long term of righting these wrongs. And I'm a little afraid.
But the problem is there's no wrongs to be righted.
No, with this new tone that's going on.
Yeah, but they are making race a prominent issue with everything. And they're making it an issue with this Kyle Rittenhouse when it's not. There's no black people involved.
The only thing black in that case is the gun.
Everybody's white.
Yeah.
There's no racial component. So what they do is they say, well, if he was black, he's not. So, what are you going to do? He's not. So why do we have to deal? The news doesn't deal with news anymore. Well, they deal in hypotheticals.
What they're doing is there's this very racist, anti-white tone in this country, and I'm worried about it. And I'll tell you why I worry about it. In 50 years from now, when we're gone, 60. Well, hope maybe long. Maybe if we die before 100. But 50, 60, 70 years from now, our grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the way things are now, if they continue down this, they'll look back in their family digital albums and they'll see me and my MAGA hat. What are they going to think of me with what's going on in this country today? It's not good.
The thing is, though, it's not how the country is. Most people in this country are not like that. Most people, I would say 98%, are good people and don't care about all this BS. We have neighbors that are black. We have neighbors we live in a multicultural neighborhood. We have neighbors that are Asian. Our next door neighbor's African American.
We live on Sesame Street.
Yeah, exactly. We don't live in a white neighborhood at all. It's very mixed. And that's how most neighborhoods are, I would think. Maybe not in Wisconsin. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't think people really think about it as much. It's these
media.
liberal
Yeah.
it's these liberal snobs that went to Harvard, like Joy Reid, and these liberal people, and all they do is sit around and bitch and complain about white people
Yeah.
while they're making millions of dollars. It's always the rich people. We were at Target today and we saw the Colin Kaepernick ice cream.
It's a Ben and Jerry's.
And what did it say on the cover? I know my rights.
It said on the ice cream. Yeah, it's
Here you
Ben and
got a
Jerry's.
guy who has white parents, by the way. He's adopted. He's half black. He has had a privileged life. He played for the NFL, has a good education, a multimillionaire, but he's oppressed. It's always these rich.
And he's got his own ice cream.
It's
Ben and
always
Jerry's.
these rich elites like Meghan Markle, Oprah Winfrey, Joy Reid. It's always these rich elites that feel like they have to speak for the downtrodden. They have to speak for all the black people that most people in this country get along. Most people don't. They're too busy working and trying to pay for gas and food to deal with all this BS. But if you watch TV, you just think everybody's at each other's throats.
Well,
it's not like that at all.
that's
It's not reality.
That's what they promote.
That's what they want you to think.
So we've got two trials, right? We've got the Rittenhouse trial, which for some strange way they've turned into a racial trial. And one that is a racial trial is the Aubrey case. And we'll talk about that when the verdict is rendered. That is a very, very odd case. I was watching some of the Aubrey testimony over the weekend on court TV, and it's very confusing, in large part because in that courtroom they require everyone to wear a mask, and I can't tell who's who, and it's very confusing. Why
it's a weird court? They're all sitting like in a U shape. It's really it's almost like a business.
They're
meeting.
wearing masks. They look like they're behind glass.
Here's the difference.
You can't even visually see it.
No, here's the difference between the Aubrey and the Rittenhouse. The Aubrey video, and from what I've seen, those guys should do some time. I'm sorry, but I know people are going to say, well, this Aubrey guy was on somebody's property. Fine. Then you call the police. You let the police deal with it. Unless he's like, attacking you or breaking into your personal home. He was like, I think on property that nobody lived on or something. Like it was under construction. Anyway, but they chased him down the street or something.
One of the guys, there's three. One of the guys that I saw testify, he has a house there that he does not live in. It was under construction, and on more than one occasion, Aubrey was inside the under construction house.
Okay. So did he call the police to deal with that?
I don't know all the details of it. I haven't followed that one closely enough. But
I think the difference between them is Aubrey did not pose an imminent threat. He's breaking the law. Don't get me wrong. He's trespassing. But I think the way the law is, unless you're living in that home, I don't know. Do you have a right to defend it with a gun?
I don't know.
Did they chase him down the street? But Kyle, the difference between him, from what I know so far, I could be wrong, is Kyle was the one being chased. And like I said before on the show, if I was his lawyer, that's all I would say to the jury. I'd say, who's being chased here? Kyle is being chased. Whoever is doing the chasing is the aggressor, as far as I'm concerned. If your life is threatened, you don't go chase somebody down the road.
Well, one of the prosecutors in the Rittenhouse case yesterday, it was so strange. There's two prosecutors. There's the skinny guy who's just a clown, and then there's the fat prosecutor. And for the first time,
Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, for the first time, I saw the fat prosecutor talk, and he basically made the case for the defense and his argument to the jury at the end. And
they're horrible.
He said Kyle Rittenhouse brought a gun to a fist fight. So what he's saying is that these Antifa thugs did attack him with their fist, which you can kill someone with.
That's right.
So I thought that was so strange.
And there were Antifa with guns, too, I think I saw. So remember that one guy had a Glock that put it on Kyle's head. So he had a gun.
What I'm really hoping with the Rittenhouse case, well, of course I'm hoping that Kyle Rittenhouse is found not guilty on all charges, because I have followed this very, very closely the last couple of weeks. And I know you guys think I'm partisan on things. I am partisan, but not when it comes to jury trials, okay? I like to see what's going on and have a decision that's based on the evidence, not what the conservative position is on an issue. And I think that's how most of you are. And if you go through these three incidents, all three of them are textbook self-defense in the Rittenhouse case. If you were putting together if you were putting together an instructional video for gun owners, and in that instructional video, you were illustrating when it is self-defense to use deadly force and use your legally owned gun.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 incidents in the Kyle Rittenhouse case could very well be in that video. They are textbook self-defense. And so I hope he's clear. But the other thing I'm hoping that comes from this is that it's the beginning of the end for Antifa. You know, what went on in this country last year, people have forgotten, but they were burning down the country. And I was watching last year.
Yeah, emotions were very high, too.
Yeah, I was watching on Fox, and I want to say this was Martha McCallum that said this. If it wasn't her, it was one of the other blondes on Fox, said that they were jogging through D.C. and they were looking at all the burned out, broken windows and everything. And I'm thinking, well, why aren't they over there showing that?
That was Martha McCallum.
Martha McCallum, yeah. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I was right. I thought it may not have been her because she's
why didn't she get a crew down there
and cover that? Because they
Right.
covered up what Antifa was doing. And you look
they're
at
just lazy.
You look at these 3 guys that attacked Rittenhouse and that he shot. 2 of them are felons, right? One of them is a convicted felon who was possessing the handgun illegally. That's the one who survived. One of the other 2, some type of sex offender. And think about it. You take 3 people at random, and 2 of them are felons. You know, if you went to a Trump rally, if you went to a MAGA rally, and you went through the entire crowd there, I'm sure you'd find somebody that had been a felon at some point in their life. But if you picked 3 people at random, what are the chances that 2/3 of them would be felons?
And how has anybody
Slim to none.
Has anybody from those Antifa riots been arrested? I'm sure some people.
They're going to
have.
go. They say they may pursue charges against one. But here's the thing. Now we know, and this is Antifa unmasked.
Yeah,
okay?
it is. You're seeing the face of Antifa.
They're violent.
They're all ex-cons.
Criminals. Well, some of them aren't ex-cons. They're current cons.
Yeah.
They're current criminals. You know, they are criminals. And they're looking for a way to legally go out and commit crime and mayhem, and they do it under the guise of Antifa.
And this is who the left defend.
What did Biden say? Antifa's an idea.
He said Antifa doesn't exist.
It's just an idea.
It's just an idea. Yeah, we're all imagining, like the guy at CNN standing in front of the burning car and the whole town burning down, and he said, "There's nothing to see here."
He
like
said
that
mostly-
scene in with Leslie Nielsen. What's that movie?
Naked Gun.
Naked Gun. He says, "Nothing to see here," and the whole building's exploding.
He said this is mostly a peaceful demonstration, and the whole block was on fire behind him.
Why would
on
he?
CNN.
Why would he stand there?
Yeah.
This shows you how stupid
Yeah.
the left are. If you're going to say that on TV, okay, why do it in front of a burning building?
Now,
it makes no sense.
We were talking on the show yesterday. Kathy ordered the MyPillow 100% Giza cotton flannel sheets, and we already have 2 sets of sheets from MyPillow, but now we're going to have 2 more. And when you use our promo code KANE at checkout, that's KANE at mypillow.com, when you buy 1 set of MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets, you get a 2nd set free. And since we're in the winter weather now, although it's still warm by you outside of Florida standards,
it's in the 50s at
the
night
50s
here.
is cold in Florida.
Oh, that's freezing cold for us.
And what really surprised me, I did not even know this was possible, but the flannel sheets are also 100% Giza cotton.
Yeah, I can't wait to get them.
And that's absolutely amazing. I'm really looking forward to that.
I just saw Mike Lindell. He's doing new commercials now, and I saw a commercial for the slippers. And he was explaining, and it's pretty cool. It's a new commercial. He was showing people wearing the slippers at home and then wearing them at the grocery store.
I wear them
out with their friends to the movies because the slippers are really nice. The slippers have a regular sole on the bottom, so you can wear them when you walk the dog.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is you put the slippers on at home and you don't ever have to take them off. You can wear them out around the neighborhood when you do your errands, when you go to Target, when you do whatever. And you told me they're super. I got to get a pair. They're super comfortable.
I have the MyPillow My Slippers.
Yeah, you wear them all the time.
I have the tan moccasin ones, but they come in multiple styles and colors for both men and women. And if you go to our MyPillow page, that's mypillow.com/Kane, and there's a link in the description of the episode here, and use our promo code Kane. Sounds a little complicated, but it's worth it. You get the MyPillow My Slippers for 50% off. All of MyPillow products you see at mypillow.com, you can take advantage of with our promo code Kane at checkout, KANE. And I just got a message from Mike Lindell's office this morning on Frank's speech tonight. Mike Lindell is interviewing President Trump.
Oh, awesome.
So that's definitely something you want to
Can't
look
wait for
for
that.
on Frank's speech. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author Jim Lord comes the book Don't Wait, Lead Now, available on Amazon. Don't Wait, Lead Now is a must-read for emerging leaders and anyone in leadership that wants to up their game. Author Jim Lord captures some of the most memorable real-life leadership stories so you can use them as a tool to manage and lead others. Don't Wait, Lead Now consists of a series of insightful business lessons that the author explains in a relatable way. He uses real-life examples that are easy to understand and learn from, and you can apply these lessons to your everyday life. Don't Wait, Lead Now is inspiring and helps those facing the unique challenges that come with modern business problems and solutions. It's also great for anyone in a leadership role, whether they lead a sports team, at work, or at school. Author Jim Lord's passion really comes through in this book. He writes from the heart and shares stories that have influenced his leadership styles and can help you as well. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Don't Wait, Lead Now from author Jim Lord. Available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Also visit the author's website, don'twaitleadnow.com. Are you looking for a new book series that your kids will love and that the entire family can enjoy together? The Twins Mac and Maddie series from author and identical twin Linda Heron is just what you've been looking for. Twins Mac and Maddie storybooks are charming, fun, spirited, full of love, and include beautiful illustrations. The author knows all too well the joys and challenges of having another person look just like her. She's navigated some of the nuances and complexities of being a twin in a way a young child can grasp. Her stories will spark important conversations about individuality, challenges, and the blessings of being a twin. These books are helpful to all twin children, parents of twins, teachers, and social workers to help everyone identify with the twin experiences. Right now, there are 3 books in the series: Twins Mac and Maddie's Birthday, Twins Mac and Maddie Get Sporty, and Twins Mac and Maddie's Vacation. You can get all 3 on Amazon and on the author's website, twinsmacandmaddie.com. There's no doubt, today more than ever, we all need a little uplifting. Times are scary, and the world can seem lonely and frightening, but God is always present. God loves us and wants us to know He is here and always there when we need Him. The Warriors for Christ podcast seeks to uplift, edify, and encourage you to be the light and salt in a dark and tasteless world. They have new episodes weekly. Be sure to subscribe and share the Warriors for Christ podcast with your friends and family. Find the Warriors for Christ podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and on their website, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. That's the number 4, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. Warriors for Christ, letting the Bible speak and teach for itself. From author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs comes your next must-read book, Until Now, available on Amazon. Until Now is a book about the first 25 years of the author's life. It includes childhood trauma, abuse, and the author being forced to hide their true self, being abandoned, and many, many other things. The author's hope is to reach readers that can relate and let them know that they are not alone in their trauma. They are not at fault for the terrible things that's happened to them. They are not victims, but are survivors, and together we can get through anything. Author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs has been writing poetry since childhood, and Until Now includes the author's life story, but also includes related poetry between chapters. Until Now, from author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs. Order your copy right now on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Brian Craig Show podcast. This is Kathy, Brian's co-host. And I wanted to really quickly talk about this Kamala thing, all this stuff coming out in the press about her not getting along with Biden and all these things happening where there's dissension and all this stuff you're hearing about. And you were talking about it this morning. And I think personally that Kamala's office has leaked the story to CNN. And I think that because today, all I saw, they were showing clips on Fox, all I saw were people defending her and every single one of them said people don't like her because she's black and she's a woman. They're bigots and they're misogynists. I think she leaked that story herself to victimize herself and to make Joe Biden look bad. There is no way this all of a sudden randomly is getting leaked to CNN and they're reporting this. Why would they report something that makes him look so bad? Because they want to elevate her. Mm-hmm. And she leaked that story to the press. I promise you. She leaked that story.
You know, the thing about Kamala—
to elevate herself and get people to defend her.
There have been 3 stories about Kamala in as many days. The third one was today. We talked about 2 of them yesterday. The first one was that there was a major, and this was all from CNN, a feud between Kamala and Joe Biden.
Yeah, I think she leaked it.
And that was one. And then the second one we also talked about yesterday is this $1 trillion bill they passed. A huge amount of the money is under the control of Buttigieg. And it looks as if Kamala really went just ballistic when Mayor Pete had that press conference at the White House press briefing room pretending to be president last week.
I think she's pissed.
And Mayor Pete is the individual that has the most say over where this $1 trillion goes. They're doing a lot of it through the Department of Transportation. That's why this racist road stuff came out. So she's very upset about that. Then there was and then she came out and did this fake "I love you, Joe Biden" thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first time I've seen Kamala Harris without her mask in about 6 months. I almost forgot what she looked like.
Yeah.
Okay, she's always got the mask on, you know. And then there was a third story today. And I'll tell you what that is in a second. They're in complete disarray, okay? They want to dump Kamala Harris because in 2024, they're not sure. The Democrats are not sure Joe Biden's going to be able to run. Okay, because of his condition.
I can't imagine.
And they know they can't run her. Nobody likes her, and she's completely incompetent. And this is what was being reported today, that they're looking for ways to get rid of her without her going rogue and bad-mouthing them and being on The View, calling them names. Now, they leak these stories out, so dialogues begin to see what the reaction is to them.
I think she's leaking these stories.
She may have leaked this one because I thought this was insane. You would have to be really out of your mind to think that this could happen. But Kamala may think this is true. The story today, which is the third in the 3, is that there's talk of Joe Biden nominating her for the Supreme Court of the United States, Kamala Harris. She was attorney when they have an opening.
She's not going to do that.
And she was the Attorney General of California. And that idea is so absurd. Only Kamala Harris could have leaked that nonsense out.
Is she an attorney?
Yeah, she was the Attorney General of California.
Okay. I think what happened is she got this because all of a sudden these stories are leaking after her.
She would love that because that would be a promotion. It's a lifetime appointment. She'd be the first black female on the court. And what they're talking about, this is what the story was talking about today, putting her on the Supreme Court and Biden nominating Buttigieg to replace her as vice president.
Can you imagine?
That is crazy talk.
Okay, here's a question for the audience, and you can leave a comment. Who is more, who do you dislike the most? Kamala or Pete Buttigieg? That's a tough call.
Okay, I'm going to add a third to that because this is in the third story, which is the thumbnail.
Okay, who do you dislike the most?
Okay, the third person I'm going to add to this is in the title of the show and on the YouTube thumbnail. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Kamala, or Mike Pence. And the reason – that's a tough one, guys.
I have to go with Pete Buttigieg.
Now, the reason is – now, Kathy's been talking about this for a while. Now we're getting confirmation from inside the Pence camp. Mike Pence is planning on running in the 2024 primaries against President Trump. It was reported in Newsweek and on CNN. The report, which relies on Alyssa Farah, she was an advisor to Pence. She details what Pence sees as his selling points and presents Pence as someone that might actually challenge Trump in 2024. She's an insider with Pence. And this is something I talked to you guys a lot about this. You know, these people are not very self-aware. People that are in politics are so arrogant, they think they have the solutions to all the world's problems, okay? So they're arrogant people that are not in touch with reality. And I use that Benedict Cumberbatch example every time I talk about this. I saw an interview with Benedict Cumberbatch. He was playing a villain in something. I can't remember what it was. And they asked him, how do you play a villain? And he says, the way you play—
when he was playing Khan in the Star Trek movie.
May have been. He says, when you play a villain, he says, what you got to understand is the villain doesn't view themselves as a villain. The villain views themselves as the hero of the story.
Yeah, I
and
agree
that's
with
how he
that.
plays it.
Yeah.
So Pence and Kamala and Mayor Pete, these are not self-aware people. And I've noticed Pence been out there making speeches lately. If I were at an event where Pence was speaking, I'd walk out. And I don't know what these groups are that he's speaking at, but let me tell you, except for Mike Huckabee, because he kind of does these things for fun, anyone other than Mike Huckabee who runs in the Republican primaries in 2024 against President Trump, put them on the never Trumper list and never believe a word they say ever.
Well,
okay,
here's the deal.
Those are all Benedict Arnolds.
We know
except
right.
Huckabee.
We know Trump's going to run. Chris Christie wants to run. And
of course he does.
What I think is going on, because I think Mike Pence is now deeply ensconced in the swamp GOP. And I think they've convinced him that he's the only person that can take down Trump because he knows all of Trump's dirty little secrets. And he's going to go and run his entire campaign on bashing Trump one day after another and telling all these little anecdotes that the media is going to spin to make him look like even a bigger monster than they already tried to spin him. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like getting Melania to turn on her husband. I mean, Mike Pence was his closest person. He was always defending him. And now I think they're going to use him to bash Trump. But the problem with that is he spent 5 years defending the guy, and all of a sudden he's gonna try to bring him down and attack him. People are going to say to him, well, why did you defend him for so many years? Why didn't you say something then? Why didn't you come out if it was so awful? Why didn't you come out and speak about it then? So I think that's why they're pushing. But he doesn't have a chance in hell. He has zero charisma, zero personality. And people that support Trump, which is probably 95% of Republicans and independents, they don't like Mike Pence at all.
And I never liked Mike
Never gonna
Pence,
happen.
and I told you guys even during the campaign and when he, and before COVID, I never liked Mike Pence, and I always said the same thing. I don't trust him, and the reason I didn't like or trust him is I felt like I never knew what his true personality was. I always felt like he was putting up a thing. Now, listen, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, there is a lot more to talk about, and some of it's pretty frightening. I'm Brian.
Can't wait.
Oh, yeah, great way to end the show on something frightening, but we got to talk about it. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author Frankie Albritton comes a new book series that you will want to add to your must-read list. The Midas Plot, available on Amazon. In The Midas Plot, follow young Matt List, who yearns for adventure. The son of a banker with a prominent but mysterious past, his unique abilities seem wasted as he herds cattle on desolate ranches in the Southwest while collecting debts for his father's bank. It's the dawn of an era when gold reigns supreme and a new power, the United States, led by a dynamic president, begins to exert its military and economic influence on the world stage. Having survived war and now a graduate of West Point and England's Cambridge University, Matt must use his background as a military officer, aviation pioneer, and founding member of the Federal Reserve to combat a worldwide conspiracy by Midas and his Eternal Ones to manipulate gold markets. Using dark powers, they change history to fulfill their catastrophic prophecy. Using the relics of the Eternal Ones, the choices Matt makes will determine if he will forever be with beautiful but mysterious Helena or permanently end the journey of the Eternal Ones. Start your journey to eternity with book 1 of this epic series, The Midas Plot, from author Frankie Albritton. Available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. We all get the calls, we all get the emails, but can you tell the difference between a legitimate call or email and a scam? Scammers are working harder than ever before to take advantage of you, your identity, and your money. With some guidance and perspective, the book, A Cure for the Common Scam, available on Amazon, will help walk you through steps you can take to protecting yourself against the common scams of today. Explained in non-technical, straightforward, and practical terms, you will learn why a passphrase may be more secure than a password, how to safeguard your bank and investment accounts, how to stay safe while shopping online, and much more. You do not have to fall victim to schemes of scammers. Learn what it takes to stand up to them and protect yourself today. Available now on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. A Cure for the Common Scam, a non-technical guide for navigating the pitfalls of the internet. The book, Let Me Perish from Starvation's Love by Limelight, is now available on Amazon. When Limelight's mind goes a-wandering, look out. From hysterically funny to tragic, this collection of short stories and poems will have you scratching your skull and wondering what kind of person can come up with these weird, wacky words. Let Me Perish from Starvation's Love will surely keep you entertained and ultimately expose you to seeing the world in a new light. Let Me Perish from Starvation's Love by Limelight is available on Amazon and Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. And make sure that you follow, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And if you're listening on YouTube, make sure you like the video as well. Because when you're on YouTube and you like the video, it tells that YouTube algorithm everyone's always talking about to recommend this video to other people that enjoy this kind of content. I just saw a video that was put out by Tim Pool on Twitter right before the break. That's what I was alluding to before the break. That is frightening, which I'll share with you in a second. And I hate to say it this way, kids today, they don't understand anything. They have no knowledge of history. They do not teach young people anywhere on this planet about history.
Why don't you talk about what happened today?
I'm doing that now.
This is
okay,
crazy.
so today, Kathy and I were at Target, and I'm wearing a T-shirt that has Apollo 11 on it, 1969. You know,
one giant leap for mankind.
Yeah, and the cashier says to me, "What's that on your T-shirt? What's it about?" You know, and she said, "Apollo. What's that?" I said, "Apollo 11, the first moon landing." And she says, "Oh." And I said, "Neil Armstrong?" She didn't even seem to know what I was talking about.
She had no clue.
And I don't know if she knows that America went to the moon. I don't know if they teach about that anymore.
That really made me sad.
Well,
she was about 25 years old.
Yeah.
And that made me so sad.
She has no idea.
She had no clue
about
landing. She probably didn't even know, like you said, that we even landed on the moon.
No. And she's an American girl. She went to school here.
She's too busy being taught that you're a racist oppressor.
But I bet she knows how to use Snapchat.
I'm sure.
I'm sure she knows how to use that. So they don't teach young people about the past at all. And there's something going on right now in Austria, which that if the people of Austria even knew their own history would not be happening. And there is a video that is scary as scary can be.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they have a mandate in Austria right now that just went into effect that anyone who is not vaccinated is not allowed to leave their home except in very rare circumstances. And there is video that's done by the local news in Austria of police, armed police, going through stores and businesses looking for people that are unvaccinated.
Wow.
And for this to happen in all places, Austria, which is where Adolf Hitler is from, and I mean, we have a bunch of Anne Franks right now in Austria, people in hiding, people living in fear. And, you know, at the end of the Second World War, there was a program put in place called denazification. And it involved a lot of things. But one thing that it involved was doing away with any Nazi party was outlawed in Germany, I'm sure Austria too. And they Americanized the education system, westernized it so that they could, you know, teach the new generation. Well, all that has gone out the window because if there was anyone in Austria that was in power who understood the history of Austria and what the Austrian people gave us, which was Hitler and the Holocaust with Germany, this would not be happening. It's pretty frightening. I don't know. They're going to put yellow triangles on their chest. I don't know what their plans are.
They might.
But it's a scary, scary world that we're in.
That is.
Now, here's another one that is just insanity. Now, the United States Marine Corps, those of you out there, I know we got some Marines out there. Once a Marine, always a Marine. My father was in the Marine Corps. And a Marine is tough, very scary. And the toughest of all, I think the most now this just, you know, me. To me, the military person that is the most frightening, that commands respect beyond anything, is a Marine Corps general. Marine Corps generals are people that like eat nails and things like this. They're supposed to be the toughest
Super
of the tough.
Yeah.
And those days are gone. Listen to this. There's a very good conservative news website out of Canada. It's called thepostmillennial.com. I go there all the time. If you don't, you should. Thepostmillennial.com. It's a conservative site out of Canada, but they cover a lot of news in the United States. In fact, the majority of it is in the United States. General David Berger, who is the Commandant of the Marine Corps, that means he's the highest ranking Marine Corps officer, said during an interview on Friday that the smallest U.S. military force, that's the Marines, is the smallest branch, although Space Force might be smaller now, I don't know, has plans for a massive overhaul within the Marine Corps designed to focus on diversity and to reflect America. What's driving the culture shift is for the United States Marine Corps to reflect America, to reflect the society we come from, the Commandant told National Public Radio. He went on, he said, the core of America's strength lies in its diversity, the Commandant said, claiming that the same is true for the U.S. military. It's not a matter of being politically correct or woke, the Commandant of the Marine Corps said. A recruitment ad for the U.S. Army featured progressive subjects meant to be shattering stereotypes among America's service members. The U.S. Navy announced diversity, inclusion, and equity plans. It goes on and on. The Marine Corps, it goes, I'm not going to get into any more of it, but the Commandant's plan is called, now this is a Marine Corps plan. It's called Talent Management 2030. That doesn't sound like something the Marines put together. No. Talent Management 2030. It outlines new measures that the Marines hope will help bolster recruitment efforts and greatly increase the average length of service. There's been a high turnover in the Marines. He said during the interview the importance of focusing on education and technical abilities, but they're into this diversity thing. You know, one thing in our society that has been like race-free since the military was integrated. The military was integrated by Truman. Before President Truman, the military was segregated. But since the integration of the military under President Truman, that's been the one place where you didn't have these issues. You didn't have racial issues or divisions among religions and things like this in society. You're a soldier, you're a Marine, you're an airman, whatever. And what they're doing, the liberals, is they are infiltrating our military and they're dividing it like the media are doing the rest of our society. And
I think part of the problem, and the reason they have a high turnover is all these young people that are joining the military are all woke. And they've been brainwashed since kindergarten, and they go into the military and they have a sergeant yelling at them and they start crying. Yeah. And they can't handle it, and they're not tough. And I mean,
well, this is going to make them weaker.
Think about the guys of today, the young men, not all of them, but a lot of them, compared to guys 20, 30 years ago that were going into the military. I mean, we saw a video of guys marching, wearing black skirts, singing a song that a woman was leading them in. Young people are different than they used to be. They have feminized men drastically with these young men, and there's less alpha males. That's who goes into these types of things. So people that go into the military, if it's too tough and they can't handle it, they want to leave, or, so I think this is more about the military adapting, or in their mind adapting to what these young people expect, because they are losing members, or maybe they're getting a lot of complaints. And, the military is woke, but I think part of it also is that they're adapting to how the young people think. Well, instead of trying to mold these young minds, the young minds are molding them.
People that are generals are promoted through congressional committee approvals. So they're all politicians that are all hooked up with the politicians. And all. I just got an email from a listener, Ethel. Ethel wrote, now, some of you may have heard, in fact, after the show, we're going to end in just a minute because I have a doctor's appointment I have to go to. You may have heard me talking about this on the show this morning. Ethel wrote me this email. She says, you are essential, all capitalized. Okay, a little annoying.
True.
And a tad nasty at times.
True.
But we love you. Listen to your doctor. If he says jump, you say how high. Devoted fans, Ethel and John, and they have their last name, which I'm not going to share.
People are all worried about you.
Okay, sometimes people say I get a little nasty on the radio. Okay. I just addressed that quickly. Okay.
What happened yesterday? I called you after the show and I said to you, I said, you were a little mean to the callers today.
I was, well.
I said that to Brian.
I had a couple things going on.
You're a little cantankerous.
One, I wasn't feeling too great. Second, sometimes I'm on the radio from 6 until 9 o'clock in the morning. I get up about 3 in the morning.
Yeah, true.
And sometimes, like everybody else, I'm a little cranky in the morning.
True.
Okay? That happens. Sometimes a little cranky.
It's okay.
That happens. But a couple other things, though. Sometimes on the radio, you may notice I'm a little louder than I am on the podcast. About 95% of people that listen to the podcast listen in their earphones or their earbuds or something like this.
True.
Earbuds, earpods, AirPods, whatever they got. And on a podcast, you got to talk a little more relaxed because people are listening to you through earphones typically.
Well, I think
and you'll blow out their ears.
They do too on the radio. You're on iHeart, you're on YouTube.
I'm on all those things, but people are listening on their actual car radios and things like this on many stations when I'm on the radio. And like Michael Savage does a podcast, and I like Michael Savage, but you can't talk the same way on a podcast that you do on the radio because of the way people listen to podcasts versus radio. And Michael Savage is always yelling like he does on the radio on his podcast. I find it unlistenable.
Yeah.
So I do talk a little more calmly, maybe than I am in the mornings. And also in the mornings, it's a morning drive radio show. You have to be upbeat and excited and get people up because they're getting ready for work, they're going to school, or they're doing whatever. So there's that factor.
I think the listeners that are new sometimes don't understand your style as much as the old listeners. You have listeners, including myself, that have been listening to you
30 years.
30 years. I've been listening to Brian since 94.
I've been doing this over 30 years.
Yeah,
now.
after I graduated university, I came home and my mom introduced me to FTL and all you guys there. So I've been listening to you a long time, and some of your listeners have been listening to you as long as I have been with you 25, 30 years. But there's a lot of new people that have been with you for 2 years or 3 years.
Or 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
And that's good. We welcome all the new people. Brian loves it. All the new people, it's great. But they haven't seen you evolve. They just haven't seen your, I know you hate this word, your radio journey.
Oh my gosh.
I know Brian hates that
journey,
word.
that great journey.
But people that have known you a long time, I think, understand you a little bit better. And they've seen you evolve over the 30 years in your career. And people that are new to you, they might not understand when you get a little excited and animated, that's sometimes just your personality and maybe you're doing it to get people interested to call in or get them more excited about it.
I'm not being fake, but I
don't mean being fake.
In the morning on the radio, tens of thousands, many tens of thousands, over 100,000 at any given moment are listening on car radio somewhere in South Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you're doing a morning show, you have to be high energy and exciting. That's why if you watch me on YouTube on the radio, I'm standing up. You got to be high energy on the radio.
Let me say, I didn't mean to say it imply at all that you weren't sincere.
Okay.
If anything, it's the opposite. Because if Brian is having a bad day or not feeling well,
like yesterday,
he doesn't hide it from the audience. He'll go to work and you will see, that's the point I was getting to, you will see him having a bad day or a bad moment, and he doesn't hide it from the audience. If anything, you're too sincere. You're too genuine.
I let people know too much.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. I don't think you're insincere. And people that have known you a long time, they might take it more with a grain of salt than somebody who's new and like, well, Brian's being just rude. No, she's just having a bad day. It's no big deal.
Yesterday, there were a couple of things going on that aggravated me. Okay.
Yeah.
One,
you're entitled.
One, I was not feeling well. That's why I'm going to the doctor today.
Right.
Two, one of the callers called in, Al from Coral Springs. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but he went so far over the line that if you were listening to what he said to me, there was dead air before I responded.
Nobody likes him.
Because I was about to say something. I stopped and I thought for a second. What he said was so over the line to me. So I was ticked off about that. But the main thing was this. I found an insane story out of Texas, which I'm not going to go through all of it now. You can go to my live stream on YouTube 2 days ago, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, and listen to it. And I thought it was the most disgusting, sad story that I've ever heard in America. And I was taking I was taking call after call, and all of the callers were dancing all around it and wanted to talk about anything but. And I thought it was the most important story that I've talked about in a long time on the radio.
I know you get frustrated when you're trying to get.
I couldn't understand why people were not upset about it and wanted to talk about this, that, and the other thing, everything but. And I did lose patience with some callers over that. But that's I'm human, okay?
Yeah.
So, that's that.
I think it's because certain things you feel very passionate about, and when the callers don't get it, or they're not there with you, you get frustrated. That's all.
Now, listen,
don't take it personally.
I got to cut things short because I do have a doctor's appointment in just a little bit that I got to run off to now. But before I go to the doctor, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout out on every episode. So the names you are about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Rich, Nick, Pamela, Dee, Rick, Paul, and Jacqueline. These are our top Patreon supporters. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode. Click the Patreon link, and it'll walk you through exactly how to become a Patreon supporter. Well, that's it for today. We'll talk to you next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Talk to you next time.
From author Sherry Chapman comes the book, A Killer Revisited, available on Amazon. Detective Jules Polton is one of the best at tracking down murderers, but something beyond her experience came to Edmond, Oklahoma. When the serial killer reaches out in a cryptic letter, it reveals a government conspiracy at the highest level. Will she be able to stop an army experiment gone rogue? Find out when you read A Killer Revisited. If you love thrillers, you will love this book. With a well-thought-out plot, lots of twists and turns, it will keep you engaged and captivated. This is a true thriller from beginning to end. A Killer Revisited from author Sherry Chapman, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now.